Hello again, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your currency recap. This is Ankit here, and let's begin our market coverage on our Tuesday, September the 26th. So let's get into it. We'll be taking a look at markets, seeing what's really happening in the markets overall, take a look at our currency baskets, and talk about our opportunities in the next 24 hours here. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So looking at the markets today, again, not a whole lot has changed. The equity market continues to weaken, and we are seeing the bond yields continue to rise. So pretty much the same narrative that we had, especially in the bond market for the last few weeks, and the equity markets is slowly now catching up to this Fed pivot or Fed change that we had last week, where they indicated higher for longer, and markets now taking it a bit more seriously here. Looking into the percentage change overall, it was a much bearish day. Let's take a look at the numbers here in the equity markets. Down 1.5%, World Stock Index down 1.4%. So you can see that the equities are the worst performer across the board, and we are seeing continued performance in the bond market. Crypto is not really doing anything here, but look at that. Gold is finally catching up to it as well. So what we are noticing is that a couple of different things. We're seeing the equity markets now catching up to these rise in bond yields, and the gold markets now falling on this as well. Remember, for the last few weeks, the bond market is telling us a different story, but the equity market's been holding it steady. Gold market's been holding it steady, and it seems like now things are just starting to move here. Looking at the currency markets, what we see here is the US dollar remains an outperformer, up 0.35%. I must say that these numbers are not those explosive numbers that you want to see where things are moving 1+% across the board. It was sort of a quiet day. I mean, depending on if you were trading the US dollar currency pairs, I mean, those are the ones that had the best performance. But outside of that, you can see that Swiss franc was flat, the euro slightly up. We are seeing growth currencies. Even CAD is the one that's been the best performer. Did pull back. Aussie's slightly down. Kiwi slightly down. And the yen is kind of up on the news. So this currency board really kind of confuses because looking at across the board, not really seeing a whole lot of weakness. What we are seeing is still weak strength in the US dollar, which again continues to outperform across the board. Now looking at the crypto markets, mixed numbers. Bitcoin was slightly flat. Bitcoin Cash is up. Again, not a currency price action that you want to trade. So looking at the markets, we are now in a -2 category. We are below the 20 and the 50s. You can see the markets were kind of going sideways. Let's take a look at the chart here. The S&P was going sideways for the most part. You can see the moving averages are flatlining here. And now we are seeing the last, since last week after the FOMC statement, the equity markets have kind of taken up to a chin here, a lot of this negativity here. So we had some levels drawn out, but we really haven't seen any bounce here. So at this point, it seems like market just wants to continue going lower here before it finds a shorter term bottom. Remember, in these kind of markets, any bounces that come are short-lived. So that's really we got to pay attention to. Now, looking at the schedule. We have a light schedule this week. Again, we had few numbers. Consumer confidence was slightly lower today, but really haven't had much so far this week. Tonight we had the Aussie CPI. So again, CPI numbers are always the currency mover, and we are seeing the lot of movements happening on the CPI numbers. We are expecting an increase in the CPI year over year in Australia up to 5.2. We'll see if this number comes out more than expected, then there will be a bigger move in the Aussie, but right now Aussie's not really doing much. As we go in the rest of the week here, we don't have a whole lot. I know we have a Fed Chair Powell on Thursday. We got some CPI numbers out of the euro. The main important event that I am looking to trade this week is this number on Friday, Canadian GDP, month over month, and we have the US Core PCE Price Index. Again, these are the two numbers that I'm really watching for news event. But outside of that, not a whole lot to really play off as a news, but this is where you just continue paying attention to relative strength and weakness.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
Now, looking at the currency analysis, let's see where the velocity scores are right now, and based on that, we can jump on those currency pairs. Looking at the velocity scores, you can see that we have a mixed board across the board. One thing to notice, that the underperformers remains the underperformer. The outperformer remains the outperformer. And then we have the Aussie and the Kiwi kind of stuck right in the middle. So a lot of these movements are just happening based on relative strength and weakness. We are not seeing a whole lot of intraday changes as those markets are fluctuating from a positive to a negative. Not really seeing that. And this is where it's telling you, trade the price action in front of you and don't try to trade that correlation, because based on that correlation, Aussie and Kiwi should have been the worst performer, but it's not the case. But that's where you really have to keep those correlation aside and just pay attention to the markets. The only thing that changed is the Canadian dollar. But the big question is that just a pause for the short term, or is the CAD really topping out? We have to really take a look at that in the currency chart here. So let's get into it. So looking at the possible trades ahead, let's jump into TradingView and take a look at what's really moving in these charts here. So first thing I want to highlight is the Canadian dollar. So one of the things that you notice, especially if you're trading on looking at the daily chart, that the CAD is in the overbought territory. And a lot of the currencies are either overbought and oversold, which again makes it tricky, because as a disciplined trader, you want to not buy something that's overbought and not sell something that's oversold. But lately, we continue to get this price action where the overbought stays overbought and oversold stays oversold. But take a look at Euro, getting closer to the oversold territory. Take a look at the Swiss franc. Swiss franc is oversold here. I mean, take a look at last time we were this oversold, was back in 2021. I mean, this is a lot of bearishness here in this Swiss franc. Pretty much a one-sided trade here. You can see that, we just start to roll over here, and we pretty much has been rolling since then. So again, that's just the market condition that we are in. A lot of one-sided moves. We'll take a look at the pound being the best currency overall. You can see how things have kind of turned lower. Here we are, British pound, also in the oversold territory. Last time we were this oversold was last year back in September. And you know what happened? There was a lot of negativity in the British pound and the outlook for the British pound. Now, that's where we are in the overbought and oversold levels. Let's take a look at the dollar. Well, dollar stays elevated. It's not entered the overbought region yet, but you can see the dollar has continued to hold in much better here. And this price action, this high base, seems like are broken out today. So I do like some of the long dollar pairs in the next 24 hours. Outside of that, let's go into the Aussie. And Aussie's kind of stuck right in the middle here. This is not the currency that's moving. And remember, it's very important right now to pay attention to what's moving, and Aussie's not one of them. We'll see if the CPI can really move the Aussie here. But yeah, this thing is just kind of dead here, not moving either way. So again, whenever I see this kind of price action, I just leave it alone and just focus on what's moving. Here we are, the Kiwi. That's the one that's moving. And again, where's Kiwi at? It's in the overbought territory. Last time we were overbought was last year. Remember, in October, we had a massive rally in this Kiwi here, and we got into the overbought territory here. So, again, Kiwi, Euro, Swiss franc, and pound, they all are sort of in these extreme territories here. So this again makes it a unique environment. We'll have to really pay attention to those, and especially if you see any sort of reversal signs yet. I'm not seeing any reversal sign, which is why I think we'll probably continues to move higher or continues to move in that direction until we get that daily close that tells you that maybe the price action is sort of changing here. The one thing that again I was watching is the Canadian dollar, and I want to highlight how the dollar CAD. If you take a look at dollar CAD for the last month, for pretty much the whole month, where the dollar has held in really well, take a look at what's going on, what was happening in the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD has been moving lower since the beginning of the month, September 8th. So this thing has been trending lower, which means that the Canadian dollar has been a better currency over the Canadian US dollar. And look what's happening. Things are changing here. Let's go on a 4-hour chart. You can see how negative the momentum was in this area, and now we are trying to turn around to the upper side. So this is where I do like, especially on a dollar currency pair, I do like dollar CAD to the upside, especially this is now finally turning higher. If we can get above this area, again, the next level of resistance is at about 137. Outside of that, dollar Swiss franc continues to print. Again, this is one of those currency pairs that I had a really close eye on, and this thing is again just running one way. We are back at the highs that we were back in the summer, and we just sort of topping out. Continues to move higher from there. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the dollar continues to stay strong, then it continues moving higher. So the question really is, can this continue moving higher when it's so overbought? So if you take a look at the last time we were so overbought was around these times, back in May of 2022, where we got so overbought. And remember what happened after that? We got a big correction. So again, this is where we are. You know, there's always those looming risk of a reversal after being in this overbought and oversold area. So when you look at a reward risk ratio, you're not really getting a big reward risk ratio because of those reasons. So what I would recommend is just continue following that price action. Right now, you can see on a 4-hour chart, everything is sort of moving higher. So just trail your stop wherever your stop is, below those key levels. But then as soon as the price start to roll over, then you get stopped out. That's just the way to play it. The price action is very strong, which means that we just continue to plug our nose and continue moving in that direction. Like I said, the dollar Swiss franc is in the overbought territory, where maybe we can see some catch-up trades in currency pairs like the dollar CAD. Remember, the Aussie and Kiwi are not the one that's moving, so I don't want to take a look at those currencies because they are sort of, Aussie especially is not moving. Maybe we can take a look at Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar, again, breaking below this level here, maybe has a little bit of room to fall. But remember, so far, not really seeing a big fall in the Kiwi either. So you really have to pick and choose, take a look at the risk to reward ratio and kind of go with it. These are not those traditional markets where, one thing moves and it really affects everything else. So everything is sort of stable. If you take a look at this price action and then at the same time take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc, a day like today where there's a lot of negativity in markets, look what happened with the Kiwi Swiss franc. It's just making a little high base here. So again, this is why it's just important to take a look at relative strength of weakness rather than trying to focus on what will happen based on these correlations. So as far as the game plan goes, again, Aussie CPI tonight. I'm more focused on Friday when we get the US PCE price, the price index number, and we get the Canadian GDP. I think those are the only other opportunities. Otherwise, continue following the markets, continue following the movements here. And again, if you are sort of thinking that this has come to an end, or maybe we are so overbought and oversold, then just stay in cash. Cash is a position. Don't be forced to make a trade. and maybe wait for the next big opportunity, whichever way it comes. Well, thanks for joining here. Enjoy your rest of the evening. We'll see you in the next update. Cheers.